Well, I just wanted to take this time, as I always say to all guests here, thank you so much for joining me. My first
Hey, my
question,
pleasure to be here.
I'm glad to hear it. Glad to hear it, man. My first question, I ask every guest to this, and I'm sure you're going to have an action-packed answer. So, who is Kadeem Irish?
Well, I would say Kadeem Irish is I'm Antiguan born. I'm 27 years old. I
I'm
was
30. I'm 30.
I was born in the beautiful island of Antigua, and I I lived there. Uh, I would say I wouldn't say I had challenges. I was born with glaucoma.
Me
Well,
too. Me too.
that's what they said. But I just recently learned that I had I was born with retina detachment, but that's for another story. But yeah, so that's basically who Kadeem is.
All
S-
right.
Uh,
All right. Well, Kadeem, I forget if I told you, but as I say, my name's Aaron Richmond, and I'm a teacher by trade. I've been teaching for 6 years, and I got into podcasting, Kadeem, because I felt that there just are not enough strong podcasts in the blindness community where people like you and I can come together and share our stories around the world. And I
that's
was
true.
listening to my great friend, our great friend Gavin Gopi. I was listening to his podcast where he interviewed you, and I've seen you before on all the different groups. You call yourself DJKI on all the groups, so that's how I figured that was the same person. I could have been wrong when I guessed, but I guessed right, you know. But
Nah, you guess
but
right.
but you know, you just did such a great job sharing your story there that I wanted to give you the privilege of coming to my audience to share it again, because you'd be surprised, a lot of people around the world need to learn from us and need to hear these great stories. So Kadeem, at some point though, you left Antigua. By the way, I don't know if you know this or not, but I actually volunteered a long time ago in St. Lucia. So I'm very familiar with the beautiful way of the Caribbean. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. But so you had to leave Antigua. And where did you go? I do know, but I want you to tell us again. Where did you go after you left Antigua, and kind of what led up to all of that?
Well, what happened was, I'm currently in Florida, Miami, Florida. Let me say that I've been in Florida for 4 years now, going on five. So yeah, it was just basically, it's something that was in the works because my my grandmother was here from since I was the age of three, and she did filing for us back in 2026 2017. Actually, I came to Florida, and I've been here ever since, and it's been good.
Okay, so why don't you walk through a little bit in more detail, your what you can tell us about, growing up in Antigua and the education system there and how they approached, blindness. There's a lot of blind people in the Caribbean. It's quite a significant issue.
Yeah.
So, why don't you tell us a little bit more about the nation of Antigua and what it's really like to go to school there, maybe some interesting memories and things like that?
The thing is, it was difficult because for a blind person to be in a class of students that has their full vision, it was difficult because they didn't have enough teachers that were trained to actually teach teach a person with a disability. They had some teachers, but to be in the regular school system, it wasn't easy to get work done because the teachers don't understand how to work with you because they never they never learned they never learn how to teach braille and other stuff. So it was, like I said, it was challenging because in the Caribbean, basically, people with disabilities are not included in anything. Basically, it's more the sighted world actually. So it was challenging.
Yeah, yeah. And to be frank, um, Kadeem, did you ever? I mean, did you ever encounter even one teacher that was, truthfully willing to educate you and help you? And did you ever find, some good teachers who maybe they didn't really do it properly, but still truly tried their best? Did you ever encounter a teacher that truly did their best to include you and educate you the best they could?
Well, I was working with a few teachers. I started learning to read Braille at the age of 6. I also learned how to use the computer. I also learned, how to use JAWS. So I would say I got something out of it, something that really, taught me a lot, that it really helped me know as to the point where I'm at right now. So I would say yes, I've encountered a few teachers that were willing to work with me and willing be to find a way that at least I could, learn something. So I'm thankful for that.
That's so good. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, surprisingly, I can tell you now factually, I don't know how many other American podcasts you've been on, and I don't know how many other Americans you speak to. Well, probably many now that you're in Florida, but for me, even I faced, challenges in education in the school systems here in the States. Certainly not the challenge that you faced in Antigua, but still, there is still a significant challenge
Yeah,
in educating people with disabilities, even in the United States, which is still a profound problem. It's still a really serious situation that is oftentimes, overlooked. And I'm really concerned that I think the pandemic, among doing many things, has exacerbated the level of discrimination towards people with disabilities, for sure. It's
yeah,
become a
really.
lot
Yeah,
harder,
yeah,
for
it's
sure.
it's really difficult,
It's
especially in the job system. It's not, it's not easy to find a job as a person with a disability.
certainly not, certainly not. Which is why I've had to be self-employed and just sort of just do the best I can to work for myself. But by no means is that truly acceptable, but it's just what we ended up with, fortunately and unfortunately. But yeah, what do you know, by the way? What do you know about the history of Antigua, of your great nation of Antigua?
Hmm, history.
A brief
Well,
one.
what I know is we have 365 beaches. Um,
Oh, good. One for each. Great. So each day of the year, I can read one page of Antigua history. That's
we
bizarre.
had a lot. We have a lot of great, great sites, tourist attractions. Yeah, I think it's a nice country, a nice place to be relaxing. You know, so yeah, that's as much as I can tell you right
Okay.
now.
Yeah. Cool. Cool. Well, I mean, is it bigger? Is Antigua larger or smaller than Lucia?
And Antigua is what 108 square miles, I think. If I'm correct.
Hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I'm correct.
Of course, I don't know how many square
Yeah,
miles Lucia
yeah,
is.
yeah. I might be wrong, but
That's
yeah, I
fine.
think
I'm
I
just
think
trying
it
to.
is. Yeah.
I suppose you really can't. It's hard to compare, but I mean, is it similar
Yeah.
to Lucia? What do you think?
Mm, well, I couldn't really say because I have never been to St. Lucia, so I can't really compare the differences.
Right, right. I see. I see. So where is Antigua near, by the way? Like the geography, what other countries, islands are around Antigua? What part of the Caribbean is it?
It's I would say what between I'd say we're like between Guyana and Trinidad, I would say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So not quite as far as Lucia. Okay, interesting. So it's not really near Lucia. Okay, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of nowhere near. Interest. What about, and oftentimes on the map it's shown together with the other island Barbuda. What do you know? What do you know about Barbuda? Just out of curiosity.
Well, basically, they say that they when Antigua became independent in 1981, they said that Barbuda is basically known as our sister island.
Okay,
So they just included into one and just call it
Antigua and
we
Barbuda.
yeah. So they said Barbuda is basically our sister islands because like the other Caribbean countries have other countries that are around them that you know they that that separates them basically.
Right. Sure.
So they just say it's our sister island, but it I don't know the much history about that island though. I've been there. I've been there on a school field trip once,
Hmm.
and it's a nice place. Pink sand beach. You have the bird sanctuary where you could go see different color birds and
Oh, they have an aviary there.
yeah, you could see colors of different birds
So
and
like parrots and things like that.
yeah, and
Oh, I gotta go. I gotta go to Barbuda. I love parrots. I
yeah,
have I have a
mhm.
thing about that. I adore birds. That's so lovely. That's so good. So good. Okay, really, really cool, man. Really, really cool. Anyway, yeah. So, do you know what the word Antigua means? By the way.
It's basically hmm, uh honestly that's a history I never really got the chance to study. I never really really try to figure it out.
That is fine. That is fine.
Yeah.
So anyway
Uh-huh.
though, um, how did you how did you come to create the personality of DJ KI? I think you do a lot in music and podcasting and all sorts of stuff. So I don't know much about what you do, but why don't you tell us more in depth about what you're doing and things like that?
Well, basically, I got into music at an early age. I would say at 3 years old. I love to listen to mostly reggae music,
Mm-hmm.
and because and at the age of 3, my mom heard me singing a song from start to finish, and she's like, you, I can tell that you love music.
And
So
what was, and you know what I'm going to say. What was the song? Can you give me a little taste of you singing it a little bit?
it was a song by a popular Jamaican artist. It was called what's the name of the song? I'm trying to remember. It's basically talking about, you know, people who it's basically talking about you in hard times and how how you have to fight to, survive just to make it through because the way how people look at life basically that's basically what the words are saying. So back then myself I didn't really I didn't really understand the words, but I started singing the song. I didn't really know the meaning of the meaning of the song or the message behind the song. But I just thought this song really, I just like the lyrics of this song. And throughout life, I can relate to part of that song.
Oh, very good. And so, from that point forward, where did you take your music? Where did you take your singing? Are you a composer? Do you podcast? Are you on the
No,
radio? What do you do exactly?
I'm just
Where do we get to the DJ part? Where does DJ
I'm
come in?
well, the DJ came in back in 2013. What happened was I left Antigua in 2010 and I went to the Salvation Army School in Jamaica. For
Mm-hmm.
I was there for 3 years until 2013 till 2013, and then I left. And then when I got back to Antigua, a friend of mine, he was like, "You heard of this program, virtual DJ?" I said, "Yeah, I heard about it." He's like, "You need to try it." So I started just, at home. Since I was at home and not really doing much, I started, you know, just playing around with it and see how it works, see the format and everything, how it works out. And I say, you know what, I like this. So I started playing at a few events and stuff. And then when I came to Florida in 2017, a friend of mine, she told me about the the Miami Metro chapter, um, and they had a picnic, and she invited me to the picnic. So I went there, and I went to the picnic, and they were like, you know what, we need someone to play music. So I told them, okay, you know what, I think I would volunteer for this and show my talent. So I volunteered, and they all enjoyed it. And from that, I just decided, hey, you know what, I can take this and make it a talent. So I I was using virtual DJ, and then I heard about then in 20 then in earlier this this year I heard about UVC radio.
Mm-hmm.
So I
King
said
King Rocco, of course.
you know what? Let me I found out all I needed, and I applied, and took me a while, but I got in, and I was there up until um up until November. And I heard about this new program that it's called Mix. So I said, "Wow!" And they were like, "It works with both JAWS and NVDA, but they said it works better with NVDA." So I took it took me a week just to just to learn the program. Took me a week, and then I started my first show on the air. Mind you, it's my first time being on air, and I was really nervous. I can tell you, I was nervous the first show, and then I started getting little tips and tricks from other other presenters and radio broadcasters, and I just used all the little knowledge that I got, and just started working on my craft, and I really could say I perfected it, because just just last week I was supposed to do a mixtape for someone's birthday, and I did my first 3 hour mixtape. So it's awesome. I got a lot of I Someone said, "Why don't you turn this into a talent?" why don't you turn it into uh, a profession where, you can be an entertainer? And I said, you know what? I never thought about it. And I gave it some thought and I said, you know what? Sounds like a great idea. And that's what I did. Turn it into it was just that it started out as a hobby, but then I turned it into, an entertain and yeah, I turned it into something that, you know, I am an entertainer. I make people happy by the music I play. So I'm just having fun with it.
Yeah. Well, then it's where, you know what? If it makes someone else happy and you like doing it and it's positive, then it's worth doing. And I
Yeah,
agree. And that's what I have found with podcasting. I have found that people need to hear from you and I. And I find that each episode I record, I feel better and better, and I love it more and more. So
true.
it's a very similar concept. The more you do these great hobbies like being a DJ or a podcaster, it's just kind of medicinal. It just helps you to have a better day, right? It just
Yeah,
helps your life.
yeah,
Well, then keep doing it. If
mhm.
it's helpful, keep doing it. God only knows. In today's world, Kadeem, we need to find, if we can find only one thing that makes us happy, that must be a really good thing to do, because that would be really good if we can feel.
Yeah, because
Yeah, yeah,
it's basically that I'm just at home. I'm just at home because of the pandemic. I'm just at home every day,
mm-hmm,
and
right.
I have nothing to do. So basically, like I said, music just just sitting down around my computer for some time and just listening to music. It just gives me that peace and just helps me to think, and it just calms the mind.
It really does for me too. It's very odd how similar that feeling is. I think we share the same feeling about podcasting or DJing, but I always like to dig deep into the details because some people want to learn about it. So, what is virtual DJ and what is mix? And exactly, it's been a while since a DJ has been on the show. So, can you refresh the mind? Can you refresh the ear of the listener and remind them exactly what is a DJ and what is it all about? And exactly what do DJs do? And then connect it with the virtual DJ and the mix. So, talk about it a little bit more.
DJs are basically just entertainers. They get they play at different events, different clubs. You know, um they put out like a thing out there and get hired for parties, weddings, whatever event you're having. It's they basically advertise it. They have radio broadcasters, and DJs are just regular people. You have virtual DJ now is just like a software that it it's a free software to get, free and easy to set up, but it's more for for a sighted person, basically.
Right. Well, so is the world, but yeah.
Yeah, but virtual DJ is mostly for a sighted person. It's just recently they came out with a way that it now comes with a voiceover software, but they haven't really finished completing the software. They're still working out some stuff, but Mix now is a totally different program. Mix is easy to set up. It's free, but like I said, it uses both JAWS and NVDA. So it's easy for a person with no sight to use.
And when you present your music, so exactly if you're DJing, what tracks do you use, and like how do you decide what to play, and how does all of that work?
Well, I organize all my songs by folders. And there's a way with mix that you can it when you first install mix, it scans your music library to see where exactly on your computer is your music stored. And once it scans it and it picks up where your where all your where all your music is stored, then you have one out of two ways you can find your songs. You have a tree view menu that you could use you could use the tab key and go round to where your music folder is, and then you choose what folder you want to play out of. And then once you have your folders organized, you could say, okay, I'm gonna start with this. But for me as a DJ, my thing is I go when I play music, I play a mixture. Mixture. I normally go back to the old school, back to the reggae the reggae and the type of genres that you're not
Hmm.
hearing other DJs out there playing like one time. They're mostly focusing on one genre, but me, I do all genres.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's good, and I especially appreciate the reggae, especially the old fashioned. What I really like is when someone takes an old song, back from those good old days, 1950s and 60s, and then they keep the reggae. They kind of keep the flavor of the song, but they put a 2021 spin on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's kind of
yeah,
that's where,
yeah.
I mean, you take the song. Well, I don't want to start naming songs because then it just gets confusing. But take a lot of the reggae music. I mean, even if you kind of put your own 2021 spin on some of those beautiful, beautiful songs,
Yeah.
that's just so. I mean, it was incredibly beautiful then, and incredibly expressive in its own flavor. Its own spice. But then if you put it with the spices of today, I mean, that's just delicious. I mean, that's like really good. Um, Oh no! What song am I thinking of? Not Three Little Birds. Um, if I remember that now, I'm drawing a blank. No sooner do I want to think of some lyrics than I'm drawing a blank. Probably, I don't know. There's probably, yeah. I'm sure you can. Can you give me an example of? Well, actually, I want to play when I set this recording up on the podcast.
Mhm.
I don't know. Do you think you could send me your all time favorite track, maybe in an MP3, and then I can play it on the episode? But kind of, what is your like favorite track that that you love to play? You're like you're a track that really represents you. What do you think?
Oh, favorite track. Wow.
There's so many.
There is so many, but I have I have one. It's by this Jamaican artist. It's by this Jamaican artist called uh Buju Banton. Give it's called Give I Strength. And that song basically it's a song that I I hold I hold daily because sometimes I know it's tough sometimes because of my disability, but sometimes I sit and think that, listen, look, sometimes life is hard, and I'm like, you know what, I would never I will never I I want to make something of my life, to become something, to do something, but I just ask to I just pray to God to just ask for this the strength to go on, because just living in a world with a challenge and don't have anything to show for it is like it's tough. It's tough, even though even though I have family support, I do, but it comes a point where I just don't want to depend on that for the rest of my life,
Yeah, yeah,
you know, because I know that I have a gift. It's just for me to find a way to use that gift.
right, right. I think, I mean, we'll certainly talk more offline, but I think that you and I, in some ways, might have a lot in common in that. That really resonates with me a lot. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, and let's remind the listeners what is UVC radio. We've, as you know, or maybe you don't know, but I've spoken with King Rocco. He's a great friend, and he's been on the show before. But what do you do with UVC radio, and where do you fall into their whole United Vision Connect and all of that?
Well, I was invited into the United Vision Connect group back in 2019. I was invited by a friend of mine that I knew from the Salvation Army school, but I didn't stay in there for too long because I joined it, and first I didn't really like it because I it was because of all the rules at first. So I left out of there, and then when I heard about UVC radio, I was recently added back to that group. So, and then I realized, oh, I was in this group before, but it got bigger. So when I joined UVC radio, I heard the history. They were saying that, UVC radio is because of there are a lot of blind and visually impaired people all around the world from different countries. You have blind and visually impaired people as far as Africa, South Africa, um, all different Caribbean countries and stuff like that. So UVC radio is basically it's a radio station for blind and visually impaired persons to show off any sort of talent that they have. Because for the in the mainstream radio stations, like the local radio stations that are around the country, they won't have a blind or visually impaired person to work there because they don't have the software to support it. So they wouldn't really give you that opportunity. So UVC radio was created to give blind and visually impaired persons an opportunity to be part of something.
Yeah, yeah, so good. Are you involved at all? Are you involved at all in like the management though of UVC? Do you do any managing? Do you do any um, station management at
No,
all?
no, I was just a broadcaster. I had a show going on for
Hmm.
a while,
Hmm.
but
Good. 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 Yeah. Interesting. Because I
yeah,
talked to King because I had King Rocco here. We were going to speak with the owner of one of the other managers of it, but we haven't gotten to that yet. I was hoping maybe you knew some of the other managers. Maybe you could you know kind of move that along. See if I can get more of those UVC people here on Aaron's opinion. But
un,
yeah,
un, un,
that's interesting.
unfortunately, I would have to say I am no longer with UVC.
Oh, you are no longer with UVC. Oh,
Oh,
that is fine.
I'm no longer with UVC because I decided to just branch off and start my own stuff.
Right.
Do my own thing.
That is fine. So, with your own stuff, so what own stuff do you do now?
Well, I still play at different events, and I'm slowly building my brand as taking taking DJKI and making it into something.
Right.
Make it into a brand. I'm I'm working on I'm by January I'll have some merchandise out, some shirts
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
stuff like that. And I'm also doing some projects. I'll be in next year in August. I'm planning a back to school treat for the students in the Salvation Army School in Jamaica.
And what will that treat entail? What will that treat be?
I will be partnering with a company where I'm going to be giving I'm going to be donating laptops to the students. So I the laptops will already have NVIDIA because I will partner with the company, get the laptops, and I will basically install NVIDIA myself.
Really?
Yes.
Really? Well, let's expand on that. So, are you able to tell me the name of that company?
It will be the name of well, unfortunately I can't really say that yet because
Okay,
I
that
don't
is
really
fine.
want to give too much yet.
That is fine. But I completely commend you and applaud you for doing so. I think that's an outstanding activity to do.
No,
So
it's
how
because basically, I think about not just blind and visually impaired persons, but I know there are a lot of persons out there that needs help in some way. And if there's any way that I can reach out to them and help them,
Hmm.
that's my thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that's really great. I mean, so how many computers are you going to try to send to Jamaica?
I'm thinking about maybe I'll start out with about the first I'll say the first 50.
50 computers.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a lot.
I'll start with that and then see where it goes from there.
Okay. Well, how are you going to get? I mean, I know you don't want to explain it all, but how are you going to get 50 laptops and then basically package them up and get them to Kingston? Basically, how are you going to do that?
Unfortunately, I'm gonna fly out to Jamaica. I'm gonna fly out to Jamaica and I'll I have persons who are willing to work along with me that I'll fly out there and I'm I have I'm basically I have a manager right now.
Hmm.
I have a manager right now. So basically I'm working alongside my manager to get these stuff done, but it's gonna be basically in January I'm gonna be working and also also between January and February I'll have my own website. I have my own website coming out.
Really?
I have my own website coming out. On the website we'll have everything that I will be doing and information on how people can get in touch with me
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm.
all that stuff.
Well, that's really good. And back to the DJ, how how does it work when you play at an event? People pay you to play, or like how do you move up? I guess in the DJ empire, I guess.
Basically, some events are paid. Some, like I said, it's just basically I do it as a voluntary thing, because it's just something that it occupy it keeps me, it makes me happy that I'm doing something good, and it's just the energy that I get when I play at these events, the energy I get from the crowd, the type of music, because it it has to do with, depends on the crowd of people, and that's basically how I see. It has to depend on the crowd of people and the type of music they like. So you have to know how to adjust to the type of music that they want to hear.
Right. Sure.
So
Sure.
you have to make sure you have all all the right songs that I I should say,
Right. Right.
because you have some events, you go, some people might want to hear reggae, some might want to hear like an Afro type stuff, some would want to hear those 80s disco type music. So you have to make sure you know how to adjust to, when you get to play at an event, you have to make sure you know how to adjust to the crowd,
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
how
Mm-hmm.
to how to get the reaction of the crowd, basically.
Mm. Hmm. Sure. 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 Well, that is all really really fascinating, for sure. So basically, you just have to keep playing at events and get recognition over a period of time and
Yeah.
build up the business, I guess. Yeah,
Yep.
that's really good, really good. So, what was like the largest crowd you've ever DJ'd for ever? Do you think?
Ah, largest crowd. The largest crowd so far. I wouldn't be able to tell the number right now, but it was back in the summer of 2019. I would say I did an event at a picnic, just a small little, uh, you know, community event, yearly event, like fundraising event. So it was fun. It it was fun, and I enjoyed it. You know, it was about a crowd of about, I would say, maybe 20 or more.
All right,
I
all
would say,
right. Well, that's
but I haven't really been in front of a larger crowd that I've known
yeah, yeah. Because
yet.
probably if it's a larger crowd, you'll have a higher chance of needing to change your genre. They'll
Yeah,
make more requests, and the larger the crowd, the higher chance it is that someone will get upset that you didn't play their favorite song
yeah,
at exactly the right time. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
it all has to do with timing, and it all has to do with, you have to make sure you have the song, because you don't want someone to make a request and you're trying to search and say, okay, okay, wow, do I have that
Yeah, well,
song?
see, but here's the thing: you can't, you really can't beat yourself up about that
Yeah.
because there's tens of billions of songs. I'm sure it happens to any DJ, sighted or blind or not.
Oh
They go
yeah.
to events all the time, and the person says some weird song. They don't have it. It's not even realistic to expect a DJ to have every single track under the sun. It's just not. It's just not
No,
realistic.
no,
No.
it's not. But it, like I said, it all comes down. It depends on the event that you're gonna play for, and how you prepare your playlist.
Right, right. So basically, you have a playlist, kind of like the same concept as a YouTube playlist, where
Yeah,
you just goes through the tracks, and you can probably shuffle the tracks or
yeah,
and things like that. Right. There's
yeah,
probably
yeah,
different settings on there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I see. I see.
Because like I said, I for me, I organize my all my songs by folders.
Mm-hmm.
I have a folder for I have a folder for every different genre. Like I have old school in one folder, and the new type of music in another folder. And I just every day, like I said, since I'm home and I'm not doing anything, daily I just keep adding to that playlist.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if I don't have a particular song that I know someone might ask for, I just there's a way I can get songs from YouTube. I go on YouTube and find a couple of certain songs that I know people might want to hear, and then just organize them by a playlist.
Right, right. And then how do you rank? I wonder, this might seem like a really ignorant question on my part, but so then is there a way for you as a DJ to actually rank the song based on the probability that you think the audience will want it to be played, if that makes any sense at all?
Yes,
Yeah.
because
So how do you know though? How can you give a song that type of value? Like how does that work, do you think?
it works because there's some events where you have some songs where are not allowed to be played, and the thing is, this is where a lot of DJs have problems, because this is where they lose they don't get enough events, because you have some songs that might not you cannot play, depends on the crowd of people, depends on where you're playing, what type of event you're playing for. And most DJs don't want to do that. So there's a way to separate those songs. So
Yeah.
you have to make sure your playlist you have to make sure you check your playlist to make sure if you have songs that are appropriate to play for
That's
whatever event you're
that's
playing
true.
for.
Let me expand. Let me explain it even let me explain it further.
Mhm.
A lot of times, and that's not what I was thinking. I was just thinking of the copyright issue. Sometimes, hey, sometimes they give you a hard time about playing certain songs. That's why, luckily, thanks to God for Anchor, after the recording, I'll actually ask you off air what the name of that Jamaican song was that you were mentioning, and I'll have you spell it for me. And then there's a Spotify library on Anchor, and then I'm allowed to play those songs, on the audio. Now, of
Oh,
course,
you're
that,
talking
that
about copyright. Oh, okay.
right. But now the advantage and disadvantage of that is that, well, if I do that on my episodes on here on Aaron's Opinion, that means that then that episode becomes a Spotify exclusive, which is really fine. That's no problem because then we have the YouTube people too that watch. So yeah, we can talk about that off the air. So yeah, that's why it's important when you're a podcaster, broadcaster, or DJ, make sure before you play a song on the air, make sure you know what the song is called, where it comes from, and that you're allowed to play it on your platform. And that is really important. But
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
you're also right that, hey, you know what? If you know that you're going to an event with younger people, like children, which most children wouldn't be allowed to go to an event that had a DJ usually. It would be kind of weird. I mean, I guess if it's like a family wedding, but it would still be weird for children to be around. Yeah, you can't have, M-rated music, explicit music.
Yeah, yeah.
And people are, and I don't know philosophically if people should be offended by that. I mean, my content is marked as explicit because sometimes we cover really dark and really issues that are not for children. So I can't tell if I should be offended. Generally I'm not offended by it, but you're absolutely right. So that must be hard then if you go to an event and you have a song that's offensive or that they don't want or yeah, oof. That's really frustrating.
And right away, that just killed my vibe, man.
Yeah, because then they're angry. Then they're angry or embarrassed
right
or
away, that
frustrated.
right
Yeah.
away, that just killed my vibe, man. Because I'm like, okay, come on. I'm leaving my house I'm leaving my house, coming all the way here, and then when I get here, I have a song lined up. I have a couple of songs that I can play, and then I'm like, oh no. Even though no kids around, I'm like, come on,
I
man.
don't know. I
Definitely.
don't know. I don't know, Kadeem. I think if there's children around and they hear it, that's not acceptable because those are children. But generally, as I was saying, if there's a DJ, there's probably not children.
Yeah.
So if it's just adults,
Um,
I mean, they should. I kind of want to say they should just suck it up, but then again, there are some really explicit tracks.
yeah,
I
really.
don't know.
So sometimes it just kill the vibe, but I still find a way around it
well,
and
that's
still make it work. But
well,
yeah,
that's
like you said
wonderful.
about the copyright, that's another far thing because you have to have the copyright to be able to play a certain song from a
Right.
certain artist.
Right, right. Or that's why certain hosting companies like Anchor give you a library, a Spotify library, and they say you're allowed to use these. So then you go there, you type in the name, and if they have it on their chart, you can play it. So I know that with that software, I don't have to worry. If I use the tools in front of me, I don't have to worry about getting hung up, on a copyright issue. But it is all very 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 interesting. And so, but anyway, back to this, but more impressively, and something that I really appreciate successful blind people like you who go out of their way to help others, and that's worth celebrating. I mean, apart from your computer project, what other projects are you going to be working on, and how else do you want to help people, because it's really the right thing to do.
Like I said, I'll be going into the production side of things.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be working with this producer in January to learn how to use this software called Reaper, this
Yeah.
editing beat making software. So
Mm-hmm.
I'll be learning that, and I'll be creating my own. I'm thinking about building my own production company.
Your own production company where you would be able to start producing tracks, maybe do some online radio work, maybe a podcast. I
Yeah.
think you could get into podcasting and YouTube too. It's all very similar, for sure, for sure. Well, I must tell you that I can spend another 7 minutes with you on the air roughly. I've asked you a lot of questions. You, as every guest here, I'm always, thanks to God, and always appreciative of every guest that comes to Aaron's Opinion, because all of you do a magnificent job, especially, and well, least least but not least, or last but not least, or presently, even Kadeem Irish, our great friend Kadeem Irish. You're one of those people that's also here doing a magnificent job. I've asked you a lot of questions, so I'm sure you have questions for me. What are all of your
Uh,
questions, and what is everything that you?
tell me a little bit more about it. I would say tell me a little bit more about you, about you know who is Aaron? Explain to me that. You know,
Well, I can explain. I can explain to you that Aaron is a 30-year-old guy, American guy. As I said, I was born with glaucoma, like you, and a congenital heart defect. I am. I mean, to clarify, you don't have a heart defect. I have a heart defect. Um, and my academics are in the field of international relations. And what happened though is after university, I wasn't able to get a job in the public sector. So I had to kind of make my own way in life, like you. And I was working as a teacher, and I love to talk to people. I just love talking every day. It just makes me happy to be behind the microphone, just like DJing is for you. It just pleases me. It just helps me to feel better. So I started talking to people, and I discovered that people want to learn with me. That people actually enjoy and appreciate my content, whether they're too cool for their cucumbers to admit it. Aaron's Opinion, this product itself is growing globally. We have listeners on all the continents. I'm not joking. You're definitely international now that you're here. So that's basically who I am as a person. I'm someone who cares about people, and I love broadcasting my message to the world, and I love teaching people. That's who I am.
wow, that's a, that's a that's one in a wow. That's a nutshell. In that in that story alone, I think you could publish a book with that.
So after this call, I want you to go over to Pages, start a new document. You're gonna write it since it's your. I'm not writing the book.
Hey, look,
Well,
I
it's a
don't
good
know.
idea. You know what
I,
it's called. You start typing it up. I don't care if it's true or not. Just type something up. Do one of those books where none of it's one of those things where it's just you just read through it. You know it's not true, and then you give, and then everybody just gives me money. How about that? You can write the book and then give me all the money. That works for me.
that's not a bad idea. You know,
Especially, well,
maybe
it's an even better.
maybe somewhere down the line, I'll really put my time out to study it, and then I'll be the one to write the book, and you collect the earnings. How's this?
All
How'd that
right,
sound?
no, that's fine. You can give me your money now. No, we don't have to wait for the book. You can just give me your money. I'll open up my blockchain. I'll get some of those transactions going. But that's your material, man. That's great. That's great. Where were we? Where were we?
Oh
Um,
man.
oh man, oh man.
Uh,
Well, if you can ask me only one question now, only one question more to really make me sweat, to see if I'm worth my salt as a podcaster. What do you
wow.
want to know? Only
Hmm,
one question.
only one. Wow. Yikes. Now I'm in the hot seat right here. One question to make you sweat. Hmm. So, I'm think I have the idea about getting into podcasting myself.
Good, do it.
So, I really need to know, like, what are what are what are some of the advantages and disadvantages that it comes with, or you know, because I myself don't know
Yeah.
about podcasting first, and I'm thinking about exploring that field. So,
So the advantage to it is this: that a podcast, the reason why podcasting is so powerful, the reason why it has power, is because a podcast can be played in every country, any day, anytime. So it's a universal form of communication. It doesn't stop. There's no schedule. Of course, Aaron's opinion does. I do release episodes at a certain day and time, every Thursday at 1200 New York to be precise. But I digress. Podcasting is a universal concept, meaning you can listen to this thing every second and in every country. The disadvantage is that to be a podcaster, you need to know who your audience is, you need to know who your audience is, and you need to know who your audience is. And you need to figure out who your listener base is and really what your flavor is as a podcaster to gain a following and to gain listenership. So, but mostly it's all good. And I'm proud that you want to be a podcaster and I would love to help you do it. Definitely.
definitely, I would really appreciate testing that out and see, you know, broaden my skills a little bit.
I'm pleased to help. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, Kadeem, it's been an honor and a pleasure to have you, as it is an honor and pleasure to speak to all of you great guests around the world.
Hey, maybe we could do a part two again.
Well, as a matter of fact, we can and should. We
Yeah.
can, should, and will. You are, Kadeem, you are forever welcome here on Aaron's Opinion. And you are always welcome. By the way, great point. Any of you guests out there who are listening, who know you've guested here, know that you are always welcome to come back. You are always welcome to come back. All of you are.
Yeah,
But
because
I end
mhm.
every episode the same way, especially when I have an international guest. Probably know what I'm going to ask because you've been listening to Aaron's Opinion. If not, you're about to find out. But since you're from Antigua, can you sing for me the Antiguan national anthem?
Ah, well. Mhm. I'm not really a singer, but hey,
Well, DJs are singers.
I'm gonna get not really a singer, but hmm, I can I can give it a shot.
Let's give it a shot.
Ah, I can give it a shot. Might be a little rusty at this. I might be a little rusty at this. Let me let me try this. Let me try this because, like I said, singing is not really one of my professions. But let me give this a shot and see how good I do with this. There in Antigua and Barbuda, we thy sons and daughters stand, strong and firm in peace or danger, to safeguard our native land. We commit ourselves to building on true nation, brave and free, strong and firm in peace or danger, dwell in love and unity.
Well, there you go. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much, Kadeem Irish. Great episode as always.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
You
I
are
love it. I love it.
all right, man. You are always welcome here. And thank you so much, everybody. And stay safe out there. Take care, everyone.